Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of I Can Do. I am Benjamin Lee. We are getting started with another impromptu podcast challenge. Here we go. Today is day 5 of 300. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this for the challenge, to grow, to open up new opportunities. What might those opportunities be? Only time will tell. But you put in the work and good things will continue to happen. All right, here we go. I get a title, a speech from the Ultraspeaking app, and then we get after it. It was actually only about 20 or 30 minutes ago when I yelled. I'm pretty sure I yelled when I was running with my son. Now, before you judge me to think about or to think, why are you yelling at your son? I was yelling more at myself and a little bit at my dog, which is not necessarily good either. But I was yelling in a way to get us moving and motivated. So my son is homeschooled. Him and I, we like to go running. We have to go running for his PE class every day. We built up from a mile to a mile and a half, and now we've been doing 2 miles. It occurred to me as we were running earlier this morning, at the time before this recording, that we were just kind of moving slow. Teddy, our dog, was smelling any and everything on the way. We're stopping or at least slowing down. About 5 minutes in, it clicked. We have a time scheduled to hit, and at this pace, this is not going to work. And so I said, hey, we'll talk about this later. We've got to move because we've got to get this time in. It's either a pass or a failing grade. Everything else snapped right into place. And I will tell you, I felt really good. So yelling, not in a, I guess there's a negative sense per se, but yelling in a motivational sense, that just happened not too long ago. There are times in our lives where we will need to yell at ourselves. My phone just went off. I could yell at the phone, but I don't really need to because that's not really a big deal. There are other times in our lives where sometimes we just need to get a little bit more motivated. Get a little bit more fired up and not just kind of coast along and think everything is just going to fall into place. No, sometimes you got to wake up and sometimes you got to get motivated, fired up, even if that entails yelling. Am I yelling right now? Sounds like I am. I have been known to yell a lot when I work out. In fact, my dog knows when I start yelling, let's go, 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 Teddy, that he starts to sprint as fast as he can. I think it's pretty cool. At the gym in years past, when I was on the treadmill, I like to do HIIT training, high intensity interval training. There were plenty of times where I would yell. So that's the last time that I yelled. With that said, yelling is not always, and typically is not the best way to communicate. In fact, I can remember growing up, my father, he had many great qualities and traits, but he struggled with the addiction of alcohol, and he struggled with his temper, his emotions at times. There were times when there was a lot of yelling in the house, and that never worked out well. So while yelling may have a place to motivate yourself or to motivate others in a athletic event, and sometimes that may not even be the best scenario, we do have to be cautious and careful about how we do communicate. I know for myself that I have a pretty powerful voice. That's not bragging. That's just a reality. And I think we need to accept who we are, our reality, our strengths, and our weaknesses as well. So I can use my voice for good, but I can also use it in a negative way if not careful. So yelling is not always going to be the best way to communicate. So how do we decide if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing? Well, for some people, they've never yelled in the house. They've never yelled at someone else. So when someone is yelling at them, they have no idea how to take it. When I was in a preacher training program, one of the preachers told me the household that he grew up in, everybody was yelling. And it wasn't because they were necessarily mad. It was just how they talked, or really, maybe they talked really loud. But if someone else came into that house, they would view it as yelling. So when he got married, he was talking the same way to his wife. His wife had no idea what was going on and was frazzled and like, why are you yelling all the time? He actually wasn't. It was just a different kind of level for him as it compared to her. The Philadelphia Eagles, they just won the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni, the head coach, you can watch him at some of the games. He's been known to yell at some of his own fans. They yell back at him. Well, who does that? What coach actually does that? Not once in a blue moon or once in a while, but on a regular basis. That's happened to him before. And getting into it with his players as well. Well, I don't know. For some people, some parts of the country, that may be more normal than it is than other places. So I do think we have to understand who we are, where we are, who we are communicating to and with, the context with how we're communicating. I will tell you this, if someone is constantly yelling, that is not going to work in my book. I do not want to be yelled at all day. I do not want to listen to a podcast where a person is at a level 10 screaming at the top of their lungs for 30 or 40 minutes. At the same time, I want people that are passionate. I want people who get fired up. I want people who can match energy levels and can lean into sometimes sharing some of that passion and emotion. So to wrap things up, I yelled earlier this morning. And you know what? It actually did me a lot of good. So maybe there are some times where you need to yell at yourself. And I know that we need to be kind to ourselves and self-care. I get all that. I like that. But there are times where we just have to remind ourselves, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm headed. There's not going to be any compromise. If that requires yelling at yourself, talking to yourself in a stern way, then so be it. But be careful how you do communicate with other people, because not everyone is going to appreciate you yelling at them. It will be viewed as being rude, and it will not sit well with a lot of people. So when it comes to yelling, be very wise with how you do it. Another episode of I Can Do is in the books. Day 5. We keep on moving. We keep on growing. I can do. So can you. Take care, and God bless.